have logged in yesterday and noticed that I'm still having like a lot of comments and views from one video in particular, which was about my experience on Adalimumab. For those that don't know what that is, it's a biological infusion for ulcerative colitis, but it is used for a multitude of other autoimmune diseases. I was put onto that drug when I was in the midst of one of my flares of ulcerative colitis. So a flare just means symptoms are more than normal. And I remember going on YouTube and like looking at how-to videos, and it was just like so much negativity, and I was like terrified more than I ever needed to be. So then when the time came for me to be doing them and I got comfortable doing it, I just posted that video, and yeah, from the comments it helped a lot of people. So I thought I'd try to do the same but for Vedolizumab. Hopefully this little informal chat will give you some peace of mind. So Vedolizumab, I got switched over to in May of this year. So I was on Adalimumab for nearly 3 years, and that did get me into a period of remission, but unfortunately when I flared in February 2022, I started flaring to the point where Adalimumab I wasn't being responsive to. So we switched to Vedolizumab, and wasn't an easy switch, as in I had to fight tooth and nail. So yeah, Vedolizumab, I of course was so anxious about this because although perks, I'm not doing it as regularly as the weekly Adalimumab / Amgevita injections. Amgevita is the brand name, Adalimumab is the drug. I was really anxious to be getting an infusion. I am the worst for cannulas. I am terrified of cannulas. Now bear in mind, I have had this disease for 12 years now, so I'm very used to being probbed and probed in the hospital, but cannulas, without a doubt, I am really, really scared of. So that was a major thing that was making me very nervous to get a infusion, but it was at the point where I was just desperate to get back into remission. So went ahead with it, and again, always worse than what you expect. I'll start with like absolute massive positives. Only every 8 weeks, so I'm going into the hospital every 8 weeks. Okay, I have to go to the hospital, but I also can then just do my stool sample and my blood test whilst I'm at the hospital, so it's like 2 birds, 1 stone. Also, the cannula fear was just like, there's no need for it, because I don't know if they just generally change the cannulas, but they use like teeniest one, which was like the equivalent to just when you get your bloods done. It doesn't hurt at all. Another major plus side is that you don't experience the hangover sensation for so long. I would be like out for the next day at least, and then just be like proper flagging for the foreseeable few days after Adalimumab. It was getting to that point anyway. Don't experience that with Vedolizumab. And it's just like, it's gonna sound really sad, it's half an hour to an hour that I'm forced to just take time out and just be. So yeah, major positives. Negatives, I would say, you do have to go into the hospital, so it's not always like the nicest environment. Me personally, I'm very introverted, so like people talking to me, unsolicited like conversation, it just like sends me heads worse. So that I'm a bit like, but bring headphones. It's always cold when I'm in the hospital, bring a blanket. So all these like negatives, just like, you know, I can get something to make it not a negative. I mean, at the moment I'm not in clinical remission right now, so things are still under review. I do feel my body kind of like flagging. Symptoms start creeping back like a few weeks before my infusion's due, but again, that's just something that we review, and we'll be able to adjust my frequency at some point. I'm sure like proper professional YouTubers just like edit all these stuff, like coughs and stuff out, but hey. And the biggest negative thing is really just the loading dose, and the only reason it's negative is because you have to be there for so long. So from me, if memory serves correct, you have first loading dose, then you have 2 weeks, 4 week, and then 8 week, or maybe it's 2, 4, 6, 8. I don't know, but generally it's like a few weeks in like intense before, so it's loaded, the medicine is loaded into you, and then from that point it's just every 8 weeks or whatever that frequency is. But that was the only negative, just because it was like so like one after the other, and when you're there for a loading dose you do have to stay longer than the 30 minutes the infusion technically takes, because you have ops or observations, which is just them observing you for a long period of time to make sure that the drug is settling well. You don't have any adverse reactions or anything like that. But yeah, that's literally the only negative. Another negative would be just get a bit of a gammy arm sometimes, depending on how you are though with infusions and like being on an IV drip. When I say gammy, it's just like, you know, just a bit bruised for a few days sometimes. But like, to put it into context, I got my infusion, I got married on Friday the 5th of August. So, you know, I was able to just have like those monumental, phenomenal day in my life. And I'd just been in hospital a few days before. So like, it's totally fine. The worst thing about it is your worst case scenario. That's it. It's genuinely not a big thing. So if fear is something that's holding you back from escalating your treatment and, you know, getting you back to having the best quality of life that you deserve, swerve that, do it. Hope this helps. I know it's not as like demonstrative as my last YouTube video from like 3 years ago, 2019, 2022, yeah, 3 years ago. My boyfriend's now my husband, so again, hopefully that's a bit of a positive for anyone watching. I know, particularly with ulcerative colitis, the idea of having a chronic illness, been there, finding a life partner, impossible. Who wants to be with the sick person? Again, these thoughts you're putting on people. Just let people love you and get to know you. And anyone who doesn't want that in their life, then amazing, because you just got rid of someone that you don't need. Anyway, namaste. Hope this helps. Maybe I'll do another one. Maybe I won't.